Innovation Hub, we are going to be discussing smart technology products to help people live in place. Louis Delaware is going to be our moderator. He is the president and founder of the Living Place Institute. He is a mechanical engineer involved in R&D, and he has led many cutting-edge products for a wide variety of medical and technological products, along with being a general contractor who has specialized in making homes safer for everyone. These past efforts have collectively led him to where he is today, being the president and visionary for the Living in Place Institute. Louis, take it away.
Yeah, hi everybody. All right, so am I live? Yes, I am now. All right, I've got a really distinguished panel here. I'm going to have them introduce themselves as we go. Okay, so first one up.
Right into it, huh?
Yep, go right into it. Just introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Jim Hunter, and I'm with a company called Delos, and we're a wellness technology company. We're here demonstrating, this is great, we're here demonstrating with Crestron, and we also have a booth here. But basically, we're all about using technology to bring nature back into our lives, inside of places where we live, work, play, sleep, and learn. The company itself, do we have slides?
We do, yes, we do.
Okay. But is it just a brief and then come back to it?
Yeah, just a brief right now.
So that's what I do, and you'll hear more in a second.
So my name is Jacob Whipple. I have worked with Control4 for 17 years, and that's now part of Snap One. We do home automation, create all the fun toys, interfaces, ways to interact with your system as a single ecosystem, which can be used to aid people who are aging, living, disabled, able differently in whatever place they're at.
All right, my name is Scott Stevenson. I am the Director of Product for Motorization for Hunter Douglas, just over there behind you. We are the world's largest custom window shade manufacturing company, and we'll get a lot into how that can benefit people from a living in place standpoint in just a few minutes. I'm really happy to be on the panel with these people. I've known some of them for 12 years, I guess. So it's good to be here.
I know, sorry. So what's living in place? Many of you have already heard about aging in place. What's that demographic? That's right over here. From our standpoint, what's happening with the rest of the demographic that's below that age? Okay, the child that's born with challenges, whether they're physical challenges or cognitive challenges, or that youngster, teenager, or adult that went over their skis a little too hard, broke their pelvis or broke their femur. Is their home ready for them when they come back home? Because usually most bedrooms are on the second floor. So on the circumstance is an issue can happen to you anytime in life. Okay, so a living in place home, it's a place that's accessible, healthy, and safe. And so that's what we're all talking about here. But that home works for you instead of against you. Okay, so Scott, you're up.
All right, so I just wanted to tell a story of two sets of parents, mine and my father-in-law. Kind of very different situations with both of them, but I think it illustrates how motorized shades and automated shades in particular can impact the quality of life as whether you're living in place because you're aging there or living in place because as Louis mentioned, you're potentially disabled. So let's start with my parents. So both sets actually, everybody's in their 80s. My parents are both 82. My mom has had MS for 20 plus years now. And especially over the last 10 years, her mobility has really dramatically decreased. It's a struggle for her to move around. She loves, to be able to just sit on the couch in their living room and watch TV, read a book. She's a big-time quilter, so she'll sit there and sew. And they have a big sliding glass door that's right next to their living room, faces west. So if she's in there in the morning or early afternoon, she enjoys having that natural light and be able to look out onto their deck where especially in the summertime they'll often have flowers out there. Natural light is important to your health and your well-being. But what would happen is in the afternoon, as the sun would come around onto the west side of the house, it would start shining in, it would shine on her face, it would shine on the TV. And it was hard for her to get up, go around the couch, and close those shades that were there. So several years ago, they invested in one of our luminette shades, which are really ideal for sliding glass doors, and they did the PowerView version, our automated shade system. So now, when that same thing happens, when the sun gets around to the west side of the house, all she has to do is tell Alexa that she'd like the shades to be closed, or she can pick up her remote. Very easy for her, and she's not having to now get up, move around the couch, go try and drag something along a sliding glass door, which if you have mobility problems is very, very hard to do. So that's my example with my parents. The opposite is my father-in-law. My father-in-law is, I believe, 83. He is a widower. My mother-in-law died, I think, maybe 6 years ago. And I've certainly made him the offer to try and get some automated shades into his place, but he's just not been willing to take me up on the offer. When we go visit him, every single time we walk into that house, the shades are closed. And it is dark in there, it's gloomy, it's depressing, but it is not worth it to him every single day to go around that house, opening the shades in the morning and closing them in the evening. It's energy he does not want to expend on that. He's going to expend his energy on other things, even though he doesn't have the kinds of mobility issues that my mom has. So for him, not having automated shades is creating a lower quality of life, quite frankly, because he gets very little natural light, especially in the wintertime, because he's not going outside much. So he's not getting that benefit that we all get to ourselves of, we evolved over millions of years in natural light. And without that, it really messes with your body, it messes with your circadian rhythms, and it's noticeable, the impact. So then, I think about even my parents used to spend a few months of the winter down in the Florida Keys. And they had a really good friend, and I remember my dad telling me this, that their friend that was down there would talk about the fact that his favorite part of going to Florida was not the warm weather, it was the fact that his Florida house had motorized shades and he didn't have to deal with them every day, whereas his house up in New York didn't. And he's like, yeah, I know I should put them up there, but I'll get around to it someday. But that was his favorite part of going down there, because he's like, it just makes it so much easier for me to live in this house. I'm not having to deal with that all the time. So I figured it was easiest to just kind of give an example of how this does truly impact people and their health and their ability to live within their homes. So with that, I will turn it over to whoever is next.
So Scott, again, what you're saying is we all know somebody who has needs to be able to live comfortably in their home,
Yeah.
but also have it work for them.
Absolutely.
All right. So Jacob.
All right, and I think I got a few different slides to just kind of rapid fire through. So as an automation company, we can control things. So if you've got relay controlled devices, your shades, your blinds, your garage door, motorized doors for easy access for wheelchairs, we can make easy access of those motorized devices, and through sensors, we can make that even easier. So as you approach, the doors will automatically open. Hit next for me.
Okay.
We can use the sensors to automatically turn on the lights as you enter a room. And this next one is a little video of that. We just released some lighting control devices. So as you enter, I'm not going into a dark room, not stumbling, not running into things, stepping on the Legos that the grandkids left behind. Hit next for me again. And with the newer LED lighting, we get tunable whites, gives us circadian lighting for mental health, wellness benefits. So you're warming and cooling your white lights through the day, just like the sun would naturally if we were living outside. Hit next for me. So at night, one more time. I gotta go pee middle of the night. Oh, too far, but we're good. Middle of the night, gotta go pee. I don't need the lights on super bright, super cool. I want dim, I want warm. I'm squinting, trying not to wake up too much. Give me a little light and give me it where I need it. Down at the toe kick, not up here where it's going to wake me up. We can do that based on time of day, based on the sensors, based on when you're entering the bathroom. And then this one, the whole home scenes, if you have problems, cognitive, physical, age, I'm just tired and lazy because I deserve to be at my age. I don't want to press all these buttons. We all remember the early Alexa days, the early voice days when every command had to be sent individually. These things should be automated for a single execution. And the easy ones are the home, movie, party, away, good night, vacation. But the important ones are the ones that they need. My mom went through breast cancer twice. So the first time we put lights in the house and made it easy for her, some sensors. Second time around, I asked her, what is the worst part of your day? How can I make this easier for you? She had dogs. She'd let them out at night before she went to bed, gets upstairs, gets ready for bed, climbs in. The porch light that she turns on when she lets the dogs out is right next to her bathroom. So through the window, as she's going to bed, she realizes, I left the light on. Won't be able to fall asleep. And after chemo, after radiation, going back down the stairs, when you thought you were climbing in the bed, turn off the light, go back up the stairs, exhausted. So I programmed Alexa, is it potty time? And Alexa would say, yes it is, who's a good boy? But in Alexa voice. And it would program that light to turn on, and it would program when the sensor sees the door has closed, turn the light back off. So now, the worst part of her day has become something she shows off to her friends because Alexa talks back. Yes, it's potty time. Who's a good boy? And it keeps the light from turning on so she doesn't have to go back down the stairs and back up the stairs. It's the things that matter to them, the interview process, finding out how this can help them in their life, not what we think it can do. And alerts and reminders, remind them, drink that water, or take your medication, or the air filters. And then the last one is, if you are like me, you are tech support for everyone in your family. I have gotten the call from my mom. I can't wait for the next major holiday. Can you please come fix my Wi-Fi? And if you've got this automation system dependent on the network, that can't wait for the next major holiday. So having a remote monitoring system so your installer can make sure proactively that it's online, can reboot it for you or fix it for you remotely, or give you an app that allows you to do that basic troubleshooting on your own, because it's not just a matter of installing it, maintaining it as well.
Cool. Well, thank you. Thank you, Jacob. And now we're on to Jim with Delos Living.
Thank you. My name is Jim Hunter. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for Delos. And I think we really need to focus on not only living in place, but just living the best life we possibly can. And Delos is a company, please next slide. Delos is a company that focuses from a science perspective. We've been around about 10 years and recognizing the impact of cutting ourselves off from nature. So we do a lot of different things, but we were the very first scientific laboratory coupled with Mayo Clinic to actually observe people in spaces where they live, work, play, sleep, and learn. And what that means is we actually have studies, volunteers in a modular space that we can turn into a learning area, we can turn it into an office area, we can turn it into a hotel. We can basically change out parameters to understand how the environment can change and how that affects productivity, resilience, and everything about being healthy. So the science that drives that is behind all of that. Next slide, please. And with that science is our DNA. Examples, over COVID, we put a 250,000 air purifiers in school systems around the United States. New York City Public, Miami-Dade, Chicago, all of those. We have rooms in Las Vegas that take the chemicals and all the unnatural things out of the rooms. If you've ever stayed at like the MGM Grand, there's over 2,600 rooms in there that are called Stay Well, where everything in there is natural air purification. That's our company as well. We also have a rating, several ratings. One is called the WELL rating. It follows the LEED standard, and we've got over 4 billion square feet worldwide that actually think about the people inside the building. So as we look at this and we look at these opportunities, we really want to make sure, next slide please, that we're thinking about how we can affect the different pieces. And over the last 3 years, I think everybody has become aware of the importance of air quality, right? It was a tough sell before 2020, but now it's a conversation that anybody can understand, is the importance of clean air and healthy living. Next slide. So we have a platform that connects across our organization, and what that platform is there for is for understanding how to help people live better and healthier lives. That reduces the exposure to pollutants, and that's a long-term thing, right? So in the house that you live in the house that you grow up in, we have been thinking for the last 30 years about energy savings and about really buttoning the thing up, but we didn't think about the air we were locking ourselves in place with. So as we move forward, we have to think about the most basic necessities in our life, the light, the air, the water, and make sure that we're as close to nature as we possibly can be, because before we started putting ourselves in buildings for much, much longer, we were out in the sun, we were out in the fields, and we were evolving in our natural environment. That's why circadian is so important. That's why all these things are so important to bring it back to nature. Next slide. Now, we have a demonstration that we're in the Crestron home booth for, and we also have our own booth. It's called the Delos Wellness Extension. It's an easy solution to visualize and fix, remediate air problems that are sensed and found inside of a home. Next slide. So if you come see us in booth 14057 or in the Crestron booth, we're really appealing, and we're selling to dealers here. Integrate. Now, on a personal note, you guys talked about your moms. This is the hard part for me. I lost my mom 4 years ago to Lewy body. Lewy body is an advanced, unforgiving form of Parkinson's, dementia, and Alzheimer's rolled into one. And in an 8-month time span, she went from forgetting where her car keys were to forgetting how to breathe. And in that time, her needs changed so rapidly. But she was a nurse for 50 years. I didn't know I was going here with this, by the way. She was a nurse for 50 years. And in a lot of that time, she managed nursing homes. So we had to swear to her that we would never, ever, ever take her out of the home that we grew up in. And we did everything we could to make that happen. And that involved a lot of decisions, a lot of simple decisions, a lot of complex decisions, but ultimately, she didn't want to leave where her home was to be pulled out to somewhere else. And I think that's what living in place means to me. It means to be everywhere that you're connected and be with everybody that's important to you from not only a social perspective, but just an emotional existence as long as you possibly can. So I made that a little emotional, but.
Well, that's okay. Thank you, Jim. We all have stories like that. I had a similar story with my parents. My dad was a member of the Frequent Faller Club, and my mom, being the 90-pound person, was not able to pick her back up again and be able to have sensors in the home. I mean, my dad passed away over 10 years ago. That was one of those sort of things that didn't have that, other than help by falling and I can't get up.
Yeah.
Which wasn't really. They had that once, and he accidentally touched it, and they called him. It's like, forget it, it's gone. It has to be, in many ways, transparent for a lot of people. They don't want cameras in their house monitoring them, because they may be walking around there in their skivvies. So again, this is what so many companies here make a difference, and what you all here can make a difference in regards to helping people deal with their challenges and make their lives better. So if you have any questions, I think I have a microphone that can float around. If anybody has any questions of our panelists, or me, but preferably our panelists. Anybody, just raise your hand if you got a question. Well, with that, I want to thank everybody for being here. It's very nice to have friendly faces out here. And I want to thank my friendly panelists out here as well. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks for having us.